Dinoblade is a Souls-like, but you're playing as a young Spinosaurus that carries an actual greatsword in its mouth. Not a knight, not some silent guy in armor. A dinosaur with a blade in its teeth, fighting other dinosaurs that also carry weapons. The developer was kind enough to send me a review key for this game, but really these are more like my first impressions of the first couple hours of playing. The whole story setup is that something cataclysmic happened, and it changed dinosaurs at a fundamental level. You are essentially making your way through the aftermath, fighting rivals while trying to stop an extinction. There's a bigger mystery tied to it all, and the game doesn't explain itself through dialogue dumps, mostly very short cutscenes, and stuff you piece together near boss arenas. A handful of special dinosaurs talk to you. This is framed more like telepathy than actual speech, tied into dinosaurs being bound to soul warriors. On the actual world side, Steam throws around the word sprawling, but don't picture a full open world, or vast, interconnected levels. Most of the levels are very linear, the rest open up with side paths and backtracking. I have not yet myself seen the later eras, but they do seem to follow that same pattern. There is decent biome variety for sure. You get canyons, misty jungles, some snowy areas, and each region also got its own alpha boss, blocking the way forward. It's a level-based action RPG that occasionally lets you wander. Now about the combat, which somehow is my most and least favorite aspect, simultaneously. You've got the standard light and heavy attacks, that then chain into combos, dodging, rolling, blocking, and the parry system the game leans on hard. And the game does have some really cool skills. Some of them have great sound effects and animations, and it feels satisfying when you pull it off. Now for some reason the dodge and sprint share the same button on mouse and keyboard, with no way to change this. Having these essential movement options forced on the same key was indeed pretty frustrating for me. The dodge itself is probably my biggest issue though. It feels very slow, with weird and kinda unreliable iframes, making the fights at times very clunky. It really reminded me of the very slow and heavy original Lords of the Fallen. And also quite importantly, there's a mana issue for boss fights, in my opinion. You see, in this game you only get resonance back from perfect blocks, so in very tense boss fights where you're of course more dodging than risking it all for a perfect parry, you end up with simply no resource to use your skills. So you just spam your basic attack over and over. Because of this, you lack the damage output, and bosses can feel like tremendous damage sponges. The hitboxes in general also seem to be a bit all over the place. Sometimes visually you are clearly not getting hit, but the game does detect a hit anyways. This does go for your enemies as well, so I guess it kinda evens out. And for this part I'm of course expecting the skill issue comments, and they might well be true, but the bosses have some attacks that are so lightning fast, with little to no telegraphing for you to react, that they simply feel overtuned for what our dinosaurs movement kit actually has on offer. The game also has the classic enemy attacks that glow red, that cannot be blocked. I personally never really liked those in games, because then you're just reacting to colors. FromSoft games don't have or need them, and I don't think this game needs them either. Now actually beating bosses gives you boss SP, sometimes a new weapon, occasionally the ability to summon that boss later. The game has optional mini-bosses too, and finishing the game unlocks a boss rush mode. For progression you're spending points across 4 attributes: health, strength, resonance, and stamina. The last one also affecting transformation length. This is not some sprawling stat sheet, just 4 knobs. There's also a Souls art tree with unlockable abilities, plus 1 passive that scales up in stages. Right now the Spinosaurus is the only playable character, confirmed for launch. The game does have multiple weapons to find though. The developer is considering adding other playable dinosaurs, each with its own weapon and style, but this is still just a plan, not locked in. Exploring off the main path gets you mini-bosses, extra SP, weapons, and health stones, which work like your Estus flask. There's no crafting or randomized loot here, at least in my experience. As for the presentation, it of course shows that it's all being made by a solo developer. So far, the environments I have seen are functional, and sometimes invite exploring a bit, but it's a very straightforward and linear design. Visually it looks alright. Unfortunately the sound design is pretty inconsistent. Some ability effects hit hard, others don't land at all. And the ambience that is so important in these games really begged for more workforce behind this project. This, as it is all insanely impressive for a solo dev, but all the time when playing this, I couldn't help but wonder how good this could be, if at least a small team with various skill sets worked on this. The game is reasonably priced around 20 euros, if you're into Souls-likes and don't mind rough controls, in exchange for creative bosses and that genuinely strange premise, then this game might be worth a shot.